Do you hear that? That's the sound of growing up. That's the sound of an apology. And that's the sound of a trip they'll never forget. But to us, that's the sound of commerce, the heartbeat of our world. And our job is to make sure it never stops. That's why when they're sleeping, these machines around the world are still running. Driven by our dedication to our customers, we're always on, so they can be too. That's why we work behind the scenes and stay ahead of the curve, answering each call with the knowledge, solutions, courage, and integrity that keep this, and this working. Because to us, each transaction, experience, scan, click, and big idea is an opportunity that inspires a new rhythm for our ever-changing world. But what if these sounds stopped? For us, that's not an option. Because our job is to keep these sounds and our world going so that our customers can keep moving forward, so that problems are solved before they become one, so that we know where commerce is going and are there when it arrives. All so that the heart of our world keeps on beating.
Brilliant. Good evening. Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for our very first Apprenticeship Open evening with NCR. My name's Sam Tampany. I'm an early talent manager here at Multiverse. Most of you are already in the NCR application process, and you will have had emails from me around the application process and tonight's event. So if I haven't met you in person or spoken to you yet, it is lovely to finally be acquainted with you, and thanks for joining us this evening. We have a busy schedule for the next hour. We've lined up a panel of NCR professionals to talk to you about life at NCR and really get under the skin of what it's like to work in consulting. I'm shortly going to be handing over to Patrick, who is the Global Practice Lead for Data and AI, to talk a bit about NCR and introduce you to the business. We will then be going over to Maria, one of the managing consultants at NCR, to talk a little bit around what the professional services business is and what it's like to be in consulting. And then we are honored to be joined all the way from Atlanta by a current associate consultant, Tyler, who will be joining us to talk a little bit about his role and what motivated him to join NCR. We are running questions at the end, so please, please, please leave your questions in the Mentimeter. You can see it just below here. I will also pop the QR code up on the screen now, so feel free to use your phone, scan the code, or alternatively go to menti.com and use the code 84662395. We will come to all your questions at the end. So without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Patrick. And Patrick, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, everyone, for joining this event. Really appreciate you taking the time. This scheme, this initiative is really important to the company. I'm actually today in Somerset, the land of the summer people, and summer seems to, or at least spring has arrived in the UK, which is very welcome at the moment. But I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'll tell you about NCR. I'll tell you about what we're trying to do in terms of transforming the business. But then the really interesting people like Maria and Tyler will be the ones who will be far more interesting than me. I joined NCR only 3 months ago. I joined in January, and I have two main aims really. One is to establish a data analytics and artificial intelligence consulting business within NCR and within the professional services business of NCR. And then secondly, I have a role where I'm responsible for the early careers programs globally within NCR. And you're going to hear from Tyler, who joined as a graduate into being an associate consultant. And our program is global. Clearly, we're talking about apprentices in England today, but we also this year will be hiring in the US, mainly the Atlanta region, in Serbia, in Scotland, in India. Just to name a few, those are main hubs in which we are recruiting for our early career professionals. And it's something we take very serious. And the reason is, of course, we want to build the future. We want to build the future skills. We want to engage with people at the very start of their career, give them really engaging work opportunities and experiences. And we think, given the sort of work we do and the opportunities, we think these are great opportunities for people to start their career. And hopefully, ultimately, we hope to have a long career within NCR. It's very varied, as you'll get to hear. So there are lots of opportunities. Just to give you a bit about why did I join NCR and my background. I've got probably over 25 years now of experience in technology services, outsourcing and consulting, and not just in technology, but also in financial services consulting as well. And the reason I joined NCR was the scale of ambition. It has got great ambition now. It's changing rapidly from being what was a company that was really concentrated on hardware, so ATMs, so cash machines, point of sale solutions. So, for example, if you go and do your shopping at Asda in the UK or Sainsbury's, and you're interested in NCR, you'll probably start looking at what the devices are when you go and draw cash or when you pay at the supermarket. And you'll see at places like Sainsbury's, Asda, and many others, it's actually NCR's equipment. And underneath that runs NCR's software. And underneath that, obviously, there's a lot of data that we can use, and we can use to give back to our clients insights. And as well as build those insights and analytics, we use that data to start to create machine learnings and AI, for want of a better word. So that's what we're about. We specifically, and by the way, this is my second career. The researchers tell us that people born in this century, which I think will be most of the audience, are likely, as well, 2 out of 3 of you are likely to live to 100, but which is always an interesting fact. The other thing that is always interesting is the researchers say that people born in this century are likely to have 7 careers within their working life, which is very different than the proposition I joined, which was you trained and you were educated, and then you spent 30 to 40 years working in the same company or in the same career in the same span. I didn't do that. My first career until my early 30s, I was actually a paramedic in northwest England, in Manchester. So I did that. I actually became a trainer. I was training paramedics in clinical skills for a while, and then I became the leader of the 999 call center, so the nerve center that receives all the 999 calls and does all the dispatching and all the management from there. So this is actually a second career from me, and people are surprised I've had a second career, but you guys are likely to have 7 careers. And one thing I always encourage is in that, and what you'll find within our program, and we're really delighted to work with Multiverse on this, because we do feel that skills training, learning and development are really key now within the workplace. I mean, things are just moving at a massive technological pace, and therefore the skills need to come up with that. So we're really delighted to team up with Multiverse, who have got great credentials in this space, and it's been a pleasure working with them so far, and we're feeling really good about this partnership. And skills are key to us. So I know I'm going around the houses a bit, but I just really wanted to give you an overview. This is really important. Our apprenticeship scheme, it's the first time we've done this at scale. We have done apprentices within England over the last couple of years, but not on this scale. In this scheme this year, for this summer, we are looking to recruit 50 people in England. We are looking to, of those 50, 30, we will start to build in core consulting skills. The thing is now about core consulting, it's hard not to have a level of technology. So it's not just the business side, it's actually the technology and how those two things intersect. And then 20 people specifically in data analytics and data science. So 20 who are specifically focused in data, because we do have a high demand as well for that skill at the moment. So we think it's really exciting. We're delighted by the interest we've received so far, and we do hope you find this hour useful, and we do hope you apply, and we can talk further. And that's about as much as I wanted to say, Sam.
Thank you so much, Patrick. A brilliant overview of what we're trying to achieve here. And at Multiverse, we are just as honored to be working with NCR to bring this to life. I'm super excited to get the first cohort on board. So thank you so much. You mentioned a little bit in there around some of the places we might expect to see NCR at the checkouts, at the cash points. And we do have a video just to bring that to life and show you probably all the places that you've missed the NCR logo. So over to the video.
We live in an amazing world.
A world that inspires innovations in technology.
Technology that opens doors to new opportunities.
But these opportunities can be easy to miss.
Because life moves fast.
And can be complicated.
So how can technology make our lives easier? There is a company that knows
how to make everyday interactions with technology effortless.
A company that gives you the freedom to access your cash any time of the day.
Get that perfect gift just in time.
Speed your way through airports and hotels.
Order whatever you want without worrying about the clock.
People trust this company.
With the software, hardware and services you interact with all the time that they never have noticed.
So let us introduce ourselves. Pleased to meet you.
We are NCR.
Que ce soit au Japon, en France, en Chine,
Brasil, Turquia, Reino Unido, Estados Unidos ou Índia.
喺世界各地有 NCR 科技就係冇邊界。
Because we serve more industries in more countries than anyone else.
Put simply, we run the everyday transactions that make your life easier.
NCR. Every day, made easier.
I love that video because I feel like NCR is one of those organizations that keep the world turning, but until you know the logo and you know the firm, you don't realize in how many places you've missed it. And I now feel like I see it everywhere. It gives me great pleasure to bring Maria onto the virtual stage. Maria is a managing consultant in the London office for NCR. Welcome, Maria.
Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for the warm introduction. And hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today and to speak with you. I do apologize. I told Sam earlier I have a cold, so my voice is a bit rugged, but if you just can pass over that. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here, and I will just begin by telling you a bit about my journey and how I arrived to the conclusion that I want to be a consultant, and how did I reach to NCR in the end. So I actually don't have a very traditional background, as to speak. I'm very closely aligned with that, with Patrick, because I did also have another career early on. So initially I was studying in university, I was doing finance and banking, but I didn't really connect at the time with what I was studying, and I couldn't really understand the value that it might bring to the society and to myself. So being adventurous, I actually joined an airline, and I was a flight attendant for a couple of years, traveling the world, understanding what I want to do, discovering new cultures. It was really a great time. And while I was traveling and talking to so many people, it's one thing that struck to me is that it's just not enough to have a job. It's important to have a job where you feel that you have an impact on the society around you, but also feel proud of the work you do. And that's how I realized that I do want to move into consulting, because consulting, it's an area where you can have an impact on every client that you might work on, because you're going to find solutions for them and you're going to truly make their business better. With this in mind, then I went back to university and I finished my degree in New York. And it's there that I start working in a small consulting firm, working for some very interesting clients from Eastern Europe who wanted to expand their businesses in US. And then I moved to London. And this is where I truly launched my career in consulting. And I joined another company as a consultant in financial services, where I understood how consulting works. It's a really noble job to be in, because you are working on so many different initiatives and projects to truly transform clients' businesses. And you take great pride from that, because you can see the impact that you're having on their businesses. So with that in mind, when I applied for NCR and I wanted to join this business as a consultant, I have to admit that at first I did not know who NCR is, because I've never heard of them here in UK. And then I did some research. And what I found out was quite surprising, because NCR is such a big company who has been around for over 135 years. I mean, they are the first who invented the National Cash Register, which stands for their name. And it was a revelation to me to then see their logo everywhere I went, because some of their biggest clients are Tesco, Sainsbury's, McDonald's, you name it. They are pretty much everywhere, because they provide ATMs and self-service checkouts and a lot of other things for these clients. Barclays, I mean, they are really an important part of our world. So I was super excited to join Patrick's team, and I'm a consultant in the data and AI here at NCR. I will give you a little overview about what we do in professional services and consulting itself, and the industries that we are mostly working. And then I will also tell you a little bit about what your roles will be and how you can contribute to NCR and to the world, really. So as I said, NCR does business with a lot of industries, but the main three ones are banking, and we have over 24 million digital banking users in that area. And then we do in retail, that's another industry that we're very strong in, and we are the top 10 provider of retail software. And in hospitality, and you'd be surprised that we over 100,000 restaurants rely on NCR to conduct their business. So next time you go to a restaurant, check out their payment machine or their register. It might be an NCR one. Professional services, in a nutshell, professionals in professional services use a lot of technical expertise and industry knowledge to provide consulting, advisory and strategy services to customers. And their main purpose is really just simple: to transform their business. And this is the part of the business you would join if you decide to apply and come work with us. And as consultants, we are working together in squads, which means that we will be a couple of consultants on a project where we will analyze a client's business model. We will try to understand how can we make their business more efficient, and how can we transform the business so it has a positive impact on the client, on their customers, but also on the society. So you never really get bored, because you get to work with brilliant people who have a mission to make the world around them better, and to also improve their clients' business and their way they operate. So it's a lot of innovative mindset as a consultant, and it's a lot of interesting work. You never really get bored, because you have many people you work with and many interesting projects you work on. So it's a very exciting environment. There is a lot of scope to learn. So I have to say that even if you're a junior or you're more senior, and I bet that Patrick will back me up, at every stage of your career, there is always room to learn more. And everybody is willing, everybody understands that, and everybody supports each other. And that's really amazing. In your role, when you would join, there will be a rotational program. So every 6 months, you will rotate for a different industry. So as I spoke, the main 3 ones are hospitality, retail, and banking. And you will be placed on projects where you will be able to develop your skills, learn about the industry, and understand what you want to do. Because naturally, in your position, you're at this early career stage where you're still trying to understand what you want to do and how everything functions. So if you're not, we have a lot of amazing clients, as I just mentioned, with a lot of great projects that you can be placed on, and where you can learn how the industry operates, and discover what you really like about it. You will have comprehensive support. You will have a career counselor like myself. Apologies, my cold. You'll have a career counsel, somebody like myself or Patrick or another lead in the company. Sorry. Not a good day to give speeches. And then you will have also somebody young who has been through this process and will be able to to assist you with any information you might need. Sorry. Sam, I'm very sorry. I think I'm losing my voice.
Don't worry, I chose a bad day to get you to present. Take a moment.
Let's see. I think it's coming back. Well, great. So yes, so when you will come on board, you will have a lot of opportunities to explore and discover, and you will have all the support from the business, because the business is really committed to make you succeed. As Patrick said, this is one of the initiatives that's very dear to the company, and it's very important because we do realize the potential in the young people like yourself who want to study and work at the same time. And this is such a noble approach that everybody is behind you, everybody will support you, and everybody's on board with this. So you'll have many opportunities to explore and learn and understand what you want to do going forward in consulting. My experience in NCR, I'm here only a month, so just a bit over a month. And so far, I can tell you that it's one of the most positive cultures that I've seen, where everybody's so willing to help, everybody's so willing to speak about NCR and how the business is. They're all very excited for the new changes that are happening and the consulting that is growing and becoming stronger. And obviously, you will be an important part of that as our youngest professionals on board. So please apply to the roles. You will probably see some of us during the assessment centers, because we will be there as well. So we'll be able to speak with you and say hello face to face, and not just a one way as it's usually in this kind of environment. So yeah, looking forward to meeting you as well soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria, and apologies to make you present when you're unwell. I hope that you can get some water and recover.
No, I was fine all day, and clearly a 10-minute speech did it for me.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I actually wanted to take a moment now just to give everyone a chance to see the office. And I know that in these virtual times, it can be quite difficult to picture what your life might be now that COVID is coming to an end slowly and we're returning to normality. So helpfully, there is a fantastic virtual office tour of the NCR London office. And I thought I would take you on a tour. So enjoy this short clip and we have a look around NCR in London. There we go. I took myself off mute. I love all the tech as well in the office. It's cool to see some of what's being built, brought to life at the same time. Well, from the London office all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, I'm really pleased to be joined by Tyler. Tyler, thank you so much for taking an hour out of your day today.
No worries at all. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. And Tyler is an associate in FinTech advisory, I believe, out in Georgia in the States. Is that right?
Yes.
Brilliant. And I prepared a few questions just to really get under the skin of what it's like to work in your job and find out a bit more about your career history and what brought you to NCR, really. And I guess one of the best places to start is actually before NCR. And I would love to find out what brought you to NCR. What did you do before you came here? Tell us a bit about your journey.
Yeah, sure. So I went to university at University of Georgia, and I graduated this past May. While I was at university, I studied finance, which is like business, as a business focus. And then I got certificates in financial technology and leadership. After my third year, I interned in Edinburgh, Scotland at a startup, and it was pretty exciting. And then during COVID, I worked remotely from the States, and then joined NCR after my senior year. So here I am. I started this past July and have been at the company since.
Fantastic. And how did you find out about NCR?
Yeah, great question. So I enjoyed my time in Edinburgh, and I learned a lot about, financial technology type companies. And I was not able to go back to the startup that I worked at, unfortunately. So I researched, the largest fintech companies in Atlanta, and NCR was there. I also grew up in Atlanta, so I saw the building and was interested in what they were doing.
Nice. And what made you decide to work at NCR? What was the kind of selling point for you?
Yeah, I would say I talked to a really cool leader. I actually just transitioned to the fintech advisory role, but the role before this, the director actually called me personally and was after I got an offer and I went through the interview process, he said he really wanted me to join his team. He personally asked me if I had any questions, and so that made me feel very welcomed and wanted. So that's really why I joined the company.
Nice. And you work in fintech at the moment. I suppose I understand finance and technology, but like, what is fintech? What is your role at NCR, and what does a typical day look like for you in fintech advisory?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm really just transitioning over. Like this week is my first week in my new role.
Are you on the
I'm
spot?
yeah, sorry, I'm still learning, but like so transitioning into my new role right now, what I'm doing, I met with my new boss earlier this week and I created a whole training plan. And so what I'm doing next week, for example, is I have 4 topics and I went ahead and scheduled out time to research those topics, make sure I'm up to date. And then after that, him and I are going to meet every day and to try to figure out what problems we can solve. Before my role now, day to day would because we're a global company, which is pretty cool, and we work with people in the UK, I would start sometimes at like 7:30 in the morning on meetings, or I mean, it varies. It's not every day. And luckily get your work done. I would be able to log off around 4 or so in the afternoon that day. So it varied day to day.
Okay, fair enough. And there's a few early starts in there. What do you like most about working at NCR? What balances it out from those early 7 a.m. kickoffs?
Yeah, so I think, well, and I think it's so Patrick spoke on this earlier. It's really the opportunities that the company has right now. Not only that, I have access working at the company to, really cool leaders. And one thing that I love is like I can message a leader and say, hey, can I get a 15-minute call with you? I'm interested to hear about your career, or I'm interested to hear about what your group is doing. And everyone's receptive. So that's cool on the leadership side. But then on the technology side, there's a lot of innovative things going on. I love cryptocurrencies. That's like kind of what I specialize in. And so I've able to have conversations with the innovation lab in the States, and trying to get the ball rolling. And that's what I really love about it.
That sounds really cool. Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, that's really exciting. I mean, I don't want to ask what's the worst thing about working at NCR, but every job has its challenges, right? So what are some of the challenges that you faced in your role, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, great question. So the company that I worked at before NCR, the startup, there was only 5 people, and I was really close to the CEO. So coming to NCR, we have thousands of people around the world, which is like really cool. But sometimes, in the beginning, it was overwhelming. And so one thing that I did, whenever I was on calls with my old boss, I didn't know who certain people were, and they were speaking up in meetings, and it was just kind of hard. I've never seen them in person. And so what I did was I brought this up to my boss and said, hey, I'm having a really hard time about this. I need your help. And so basically what I did is I created an Excel list of everyone that I've come in contact with, where they're located, what their role is, what position they have. My boss went through and filled it out for me. So that was really cool. And yeah, so that it's a minor setback, but there was a solution. So.
Nice. And it sounds like from the couple of examples that you said, like you've got a lot of support at NCR. Do you feel supported by the team around you?
Yes, for sure. And so Patrick, and there were some other really cool leaders brought on. Maria is new as well. And with these new leaders, they have a new vision, and the support for that vision is really cool as well, because they want to see us ultimately succeed, so.
Yeah. That's good to hear. And so like, what's next for you? What's next in your NCR journey? I mean, you've got this new role. How long will you be in this new role for? What's the plan?
That's a great question. I don't know. If you would have told me I was going to do what I'm doing now when I started in July, I would have said you're crazy. What's really cool is that the amount of opportunities for people that are just starting out in the company. And I literally have risen my hand on a few side projects, and that's gotten me in front of people like Patrick, Maria, and then even our leader of the whole consulting group, Ismail. And so I don't know. Like right now, the FinTech Advisory, we're just trying to come up with some unique ways to help our customers, whether that's in cryptocurrencies or new banking technology, so on and so forth.
Brilliant. It sounds really exciting. Are you excited by it? Is coming to work even at 7 a.m. excite you?
Yes. I would sometimes have to take a step back and just be like, okay, yeah, this is great. So.
I love it. Well, look, thank you for answering my questions. We are running really, really good for time. We're going to have a bit of a Q&A at the end, and I've seen some questions coming already for you. So Do you mind sticking
Perfect.
around till the end and
Yeah.
and joining us for the question?
That works.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I wanted to touch on one of the things that Tyler just spoke about around innovation. And I think there's so much innovative work going on at NCR. And helpfully, there is a video that talks about NCR's history of innovation and some of the innovation that they're doing right now. So we will go to another video and then we will come to a section on apprenticeships and the application process straight afterwards.
One of the things that differentiates companies that are successful in innovation is the willingness to disrupt itself and the willingness to try new things and test ideas and give people the freedom to think creatively about what could a solution look like.
Innovation is all about taking a novel idea or a concept and making it real. And that is about execution and being able to envision something, to prototype it, to learn, and to develop that and take it to market.
NCR was basically the first company to develop the cash register back in the late 1800s. And over time that evolved into expanding the presence through the automated teller machine and in retail and the hospitality point of sale market.
NCR had been around since 1884 and has a long history of driving innovation, both in technology but also in the way the company was run, people and processes. I think historically innovation has been this combination of inventing and trying to predict the future, but then to actually make it practical and to make it real. And so there are long-standing trends across innovation, whether you look at things that were happening 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, or 1 year ago. An aspect of it is just using technology to solve problems in a novel way.
There is a whole shift underway as we continue to pivot towards more of a software and subscription mindset. This mindset has been really critical towards building this culture of innovation that we're continuing to push out and will position us for long-term success.
Today, innovation at NCR is focused on helping our customers adapt to the changing landscape, both emerging technologies as well as changing consumer behaviors.
So the whole notion of subscription and of a shift to software and services is in the mindset of being customer first and helping align incentives between us and the customers to drive stuff through to the market that is continually improved over time.
One of the core things we're focused on is helping our customers run their operation, whether that be run a store, run a restaurant, or run a digital banking solution. And so for us, innovating in that space really is about changing to be focused on a digital-first consumer experience.
If we're able to solve the customer needs today, and we've done our job from an innovation standpoint, and we've got the business infrastructure in place to continue being successful in the market.
NCR has this unique opportunity to innovate at scale.
We've got some really cool products that people can innovate around and people can relate to. I mean, the solutions that we develop are things I experience on a day-to-day basis. I always found really powerful.
The capability that we bring enables us to leverage that existing platform and that existing capability to innovate more quickly and to bring new things to market.
There's a lot of ways to think about innovation, and thinking about it in an open-minded way is really the core of what it is. A lot of people conflate innovation with building good products, and I think that's only part of the story.
Fantastic. After watching these videos and hearing everyone speak today, I think I want to work at NCR. I think I'm in the wrong job. I don't know if I can ask Patrick for a job after this. There've been a lot of questions coming in the chat. Please keep them coming. If you're not in there already, the code is 84662395 at menti.com. And there's been a lot of questions in there around the apprenticeship program itself and the application and assessment process. Luckily, I'm going to talk through both of those things now. So hopefully I can kick off quite a few of the questions over the course of the next few minutes. And as soon as I've gone through everything, I will then bring everyone back onto the virtual stage and we will answer any remaining questions that have come through. So the first thing I want to talk about is the exciting new opportunity of the apprenticeship program itself that here at Multiverse we are building with NCR. There's a lot still being built at the moment, so I'm not going to confirm that everything is super finished and not subject to change. But I'm going to bring up a slide for you and just show you how we're expecting to structure the program. And if I bring up this one, you can see, feel free to make this full screen so you can see it, how we're planning to build up this apprenticeship program. Essentially, if you're in my emails, you will have probably already seen that we have two pathways within the apprenticeship program in London. The first is the consulting pathway, and the second is the data science or data analytics pathway. And within that, you'll see along the top of this, there are some of the rotations that Maria was talking about earlier, an opportunity to try different parts of NCR's professional services practice. If you join NCR in the consulting pathway, then you'll be enrolled in Multiverse's outstanding rated digital business accelerator program, which will give you all of the business and data skills that you need to kickstart your career in consulting and professional services. That's about an 18-month program. And the idea is that once you finish that, you progress to the next level and take on a slightly more specialized program to deepen your knowledge in one of the areas that is of interest to you and helps the business achieve their business aims. The exact programs will be subject to final approval from NCR and availability at the time, but it could be things like Multiverse's Data Fellowship program, which dives into some of the basics of data analytics, project management program, which upskills you in how to run complex programs and change projects, or our software engineering program. You'll have seen there is a technology consulting spin to one of those job vacancies on the Multiverse platform. There's definitely a potential in the future to train up in software engineering and become a more tech-focused consultant. Along the bottom, there are also a couple of roles on the Multiverse platform at the moment for the data analytics pathway. And everyone that comes in through the data analytics pathway will specialize in building a deep understanding of data science to train up to become a data scientist or AI consultant at NCR. And you'll be following Multiverse's Advanced Data Fellowship Program. It's a 3-year program, and it culminates at the end of 3 years with the award of a Bachelor of Science degree in data analytics. Lots of opportunities here. And the one thing that I want to take away from this is that on that consulting pathway, you are not necessarily limited in the routes that you will take. There are all kinds of industries that NCR are working in, and we heard a lot about retail, banking, and hospitality. And there are also lots of opportunities to get involved in different roles on projects. So you have by no means have to make a decision right now on where your future will take you, but hopefully we'll get a chance to see various parts of NCR as you could progress through the apprenticeship program. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the application process for the apprenticeship. And again, I have put some of this in an email, but I will send another one directly after this. For the two streams, there are slightly different timelines, and I'll just talk through them one by one to make sure that regardless of which one you're in, you know where you stand. The first is the consulting stream, and the deadline for this is tomorrow for applications. That means that I will sit down with Patrick, Maria, and lots of other people from across NCR and shortlist those huge number of applications actually down to a manageable shortlist of candidates that we will invite to interview in the following weeks. We are running a one-stage process which consists of an assessment day. And I'll bring up a slide now just to show you what that assessment day looks like. Those for the consulting program will take place on the 12th and 13th of April. And there will be 2 sessions within each of those days, a morning session and an afternoon session. If you are successful in securing a place at the assessment center, you can choose between either the AM session on the 12th, the PM session on the 12th, the AM session on the 13th, or the PM session on the 13th. You don't have to attend all of them, just one of them. And during your assessment center experience, there will be 4 components. You will have a one-to-one interview with someone from NCR to find out a bit more about your background and your strengths. You will take part in a group activity where you'll work with a small group of your fellow candidates to tackle a challenge and be assessed on your teamwork skills by the team. And you'll also present a 5-minute presentation one-on-one with an individual from NCR, which you'll have been given the task for in advance. So I will send out those tasks 1 week before your assessment day slot and give you a chance to research something about NCR's line of work that you might like to present back to a senior leader from the business. The fourth part of the assessment is actually non-assessed. So there'll also be a Q&A session with one of our Multiverse apprentices. So you can find out a little bit more about what it's like to do an apprenticeship, be an apprentice, and how the learning experience will be for you. But that session is absolutely not assessed. So there are 3 assessed components to the day: the interview, the presentation, and the group task. Following those assessments for the consulting program on the 12th and 13th of April, we will then look to make offers as soon as possible afterwards. And we are working to a provisional start date for the consulting program of May the 16th, subject to final approval, roughly around that date. If you have applied to the data stream, and slightly different timelines, basically the same timelines, but just a couple of weeks back. So the deadline for applications is the 15th of April for the data stream, and therefore you'll find out by the 22nd of April if you're being invited to one of the assessment days. We expect those to take place between May 3rd and May 4th, again, subject to final sign-off, with a predicted start date of around June the 6th. The exact details of the assessment day for the data stream are still being confirmed. They'll probably be roughly similar to the consulting stream, but with a slightly more focus on some of those data skills, so we can pull those out during the interview and assessment process. That's pretty much everything I wanted to share about the interview process and the application process. The last thing I would say is that what I am going to do, given that it's Thursday evening and we're going to be reviewing applications next week, is we will extend the deadline to the end of Sunday to give you a chance to finish your applications. I think most of you on this call will already be in progress of either creating or have submitted an application. But if you want to make any final changes to your profile, go to the platform.multiverse.io and make any changes before Sunday night. And I will be sitting down with the team next week to review some of those applications for the consulting stream. Like I say, the deadline for the data stream will be on the 15th of April. Brilliant. So without further ado, I'm going to bring everyone back onto the virtual stage and open up the floor for some questions. Please keep them coming. I will put a reminder up here of the link to the Menti at menti.com. The code is 84662395. And I will welcome back Patrick, Maria, and Tyler to begin to answer some of your questions. Thanks, everyone, for staying with us till the end. And I want to take a first question from the audience. The first one that we have in is about travel. And I think one of the things that we've talked about in the job descriptions is that you might have to travel to client site. But this person would like to know, what does that mean? What does travel look like as a consultant? Where will I end up? What will I do? And how will that work? Who wants to take this question for me?
Yeah, I'll take that. The world's changed. So it's, the world of being a consultant was one of you used to live out of a suitcase. And that was generally the lifestyle. Of course, things changed over the last 2 years. And people have a lot of acceleration in thinking. I mean, we're doing the unthinkable. 5 years ago, if we said we could all work from home, people would have thought you was crazy. So it's a balance. I think in reality, what it really means, it'll be hybrid. There will be time working from home or a local site. If there are many people we have to consider that don't have the facilities to work from home, and it will be also on client sites or occasionally in the NCR offices as well. So I would say it's hybrid is what the future is going to be. And I think people are, I guess, sense the moment people longing to be back in offices to a certain, not 5 days a week. I get that message, but people want to be back. They want that interaction with people. And that's one of the things about working, isn't it? Really, it's actually the people you work with and work for that gives you the most pleasure and inspiration. So I think I would say, as much as you can predict anything in the current world, it's going to be hybrid. It's going to be a combination of working from home, working in client sites, and working in NCR offices. I can't quantify it today. It depends on the type of work and project you're on.
Sure. Maria, Tyler, I know you're both relatively new to NCR, but have you had to do any traveling yet?
My 1 month in, not yet. But from my previous experience, as Patrick said, the world definitely changed. So I think there will be some expectations to travel, but not like it used to be. It's not from Monday till Thursday or Friday every week. It will be now and then, depending on the client, but not that often. Even though when it happens, it's really exciting. So I remember once I've been to Edinburgh in Scotland for a client meeting, and it was really fun because you also go with other brilliant people, so you enjoy that time together, to bond and to meet new people, really. But 1 month in, at Patrick, I expect a trip at some point.
Tyler, how about you? Any trips yet?
No, not yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you. I think a good detailed question and a real understanding that it's a changing world and it will be hybrid. So who knows what the future will hold. I've got another question here. I love this question, and I'm going to ask it to everyone in the room. But if you had to pick one quality or skill or strength that everyone at NCR must have, what would you pick? That's a great question. Who wants to kick us off?
Go on then, I'll go.
Go on, Patrick.
I would say it would be the growth mindset. As I said, this is a changing world. Whatever you learn today has probably got at most 3 years longevity, such is the pace of change. And don't forget, the pace of change now is the slowest you're ever going to experience. And it gets faster from here on in. So it's really having that curiosity, having that growth mindset, that you're continually looking to reskill, upskill, new experiences. And they don't always just come from formal education. Sometimes they're just work experiences and projects you probably would have shied away from before. And the growth mindset is actually being prepared to fail sometimes and feeling a bit silly because, growth and comfort do not coexist. It's uncomfortable and should be. So yeah, to me, that I would say for everybody in any company, actually, as you go through your career now, you start to create. It's that growth mindset's really important.
I fully agree.
Yeah, I can take next one. I actually want to say innovation, but that's very close to growth mindset. So I will say it's a collaborative mindset and being collaborative. So in consulting, you cannot do things by yourself because you really want to bring that, best solution forward, really have an impact and change the world. So therefore, you need other people to work with because nobody is skilled in everything, and there are people who know some areas better than others. So being able to collaborate and embrace other ideas, to come with a very comprehensive solution going forward is very important. So what I find in NCR, collaboration, as I said earlier, it's really impressive. Everybody, works with each other for the greater good, for the greater benefit, of the clients and the company. So collaboration is a very important one.
Yeah, lastly, I'll just say adaptability. So I know at university or in the United States, we call it high school, age, basically before university, you're given for classes like a set schedule that you're going to do every single day. And you don't have that for a job. And so whenever you've grown up and that's what you've been taught, being able to adapt is really important. Whether you're starting a new project and you just found out about it like an hour before, or you're ending a project, or your manager asks you to do something else, is really important.
I fully agree with all of those things, and I'm sure we'll see lots of people at the assessment days with all three of these strengths. Here's hoping. And I think we're doing a very good job of today of what we're trying to achieve, because someone has put in the chat here that NCR looks like a very friendly company to work for. So you guys are clearly impressed. But what sort of things do NCR do to keep employees happy, build morale, drive engagement, especially in a hybrid or virtual world? Anyone have any comments?
Yeah, I'll start on that one. There are a number of things, and what really keeps people happy varies between people, right? Some people I get paid well, Some people it's opportunities to do different things. And again, that's the what we call the employee value proposition changes consistently. But really, we really want to create an engaging work experience that people get opportunities to try different things, opportunities to skill. But actually, people enjoy it as well. It's a long time. It's a long time a work week if you don't enjoy it. And one thing I have to say, but probably sold me. So before I actually joined NCR, I was invited to go to Atlanta, which I went to in December to meet some of the team. And I was there on a Thursday, and they said, "Oh, the meeting we'll have to finish at 3:30 in Atlanta." And I said, "Why?" Actually, they said it's Fun Thursday, and this is replicated around the world. And I have to say, it's a major office in Atlanta, in downtown Atlanta, and there was a band on. There was food stations, there was drinks. It was really fun, and so Fun Thursday is a thing. So it is about working out. It's about challenging yourself, but you've got to enjoy it, and there is fun about it as well. And Tyler's probably spent many times on Fun Thursdays.
Tyler, what's a Fun Thursday like?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, I mean, you just get to hang out, and they provide drinks and food. And just like Patrick said, sometimes there's a DJ, there's themes. So we had Black History Month last month. We'll have like a holiday party in December. Everybody will dress up. It's really cool because leaders get to actually serve you the drink. So you'll go up to the bar, and the CEO of the company, the chief technology officer, so on and so forth, will be there and give you a drink. You're able to say, hey, talk to them a little bit, and really just hang out.
So I think to complement you, Tyler, on that, I think a lot of the reasons why the company is positive and everybody enjoys themselves working is because of the leadership. So as Tyler said, there is none this hierarchical, if I am a CEO, I won't come and speak with a junior. Everybody, exchanges idea with each other, and is this positive environment, and it all comes from the leadership and how they run the business. So I find it so far, you can feel free to speak up. You will never be put down and not able to voice your idea just because you don't have X amount of years experience in the company. That's my experience so far.
I love that. I'm serious. I need a job here. So I hope my boss isn't watching this at this point. A question here about the assessment centers. I'll take this one. Are they going to be virtual? No, they will be in person. They'll be taking place in the Multiverse office, which is in London, not far from Baker Street Station. And we have travel options available for anyone that is traveling from afar to come down to London for those assessment centers. But I can be in touch about that in due course. And then I think we've just got time for one more question. And I think it is someone with a growth mindset, Patrick, that has asked this question. They want to know about NCR's future. And they've said that the payment world is becoming more digital with online banking, cryptocurrencies. How is NCR tackling this? What's NCR's future? What can you tell us about the future for NCR?
Well, the strategy, which has already been executed, so we're already part through the strategy, is to move from being a hardware-centric business to a software and services business. And then the next natural step is to be a data business, really, to really drive the data. And if you look at the acquisitions, I think the intent of building for the future is obviously what we're doing today is building for the future. We're getting our next cohorts of careers and professionals to join the company, but also have a look at the recent acquisitions that NCR have made, even during the COVID period. So one was Zinstra. Zinstra is a company actually based not too far from me in Bath in Somerset. But that's an innovative company that does edge computing, particularly in retail. As you say, again, fits in with the strategy and the increased digitization of retail. And then one acquisition that's just concluded where people have formally transferred over is a company called LibertyX, which is a Bitcoin company. So that's been acquisitions to do that. So it is actually very, very focused on the future. not just with the hiring, but the acquisition of new services and new technologies.
Fantastic. Sounds like a bright future ahead and an exciting time to be joining NCR. Last question in the chat. Will there be any more cohorts in the future? I hope so. Fingers crossed. If this goes well, we will be in touch. Who knows when the next cohort of apprentices might be. Look, I just want to say a massive thank you, Patrick, Maria, Tyler, for spending the last hour with us. I think this has been really useful. The engagement from the chat has definitely shown that. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Final thoughts from me then for everyone on the line. If you haven't yet finished your application and put it in, you know where to go. Go into the Multiverse platform, log in, finish up, and click apply. If you do have any questions after today, and I know there were a few in the chat that we didn't get round to, you have my email address. I've been emailing you already, probably too much. Candidates@multiverse.io, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible, either myself or one of the team. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure to be here for the last hour. Thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait to hopefully see you at the assessment centre in a few weeks' time. Best of luck, and thanks again. Have a good evening.